Alright, so this problem we're trying to figure out how can we optimize our acreage to make the most money. So the first thing we always have to do whenever we're optimizing is first figure out what are our variables. In this case, I'm going to say that X is my acres of Fuji and Y is my acres of September Wonder. And again, I can use other variables, but I do that so I can put it on the coordinate plane pretty easily. Now I need to read through and figure out, well, what is it that I know? Well, first and foremost, I know that X is going to be greater than or equal to 0. Y is going to be greater than or equal to 0. And then it says here that I've got up to 150 acres. So I know that X plus Y has to be less than or equal to 150. Now it tells me that Fuji trees take 1 day to trim an acre and 3/10 of a day to pick an acre. And I know that September Wonder trees take 2 days to trim and 1/10 of a day to pick. And I have 240 days for trimming, 30 days for picking. So let's just focus on trimming. So I've got to look at, it takes me, I'm going to change this to a highlighter. My Fuji takes 1 day to trim, my September Wonder takes 2 days to trim. So if I come back, that means that X plus 2Y has to be less than or equal to the 240 days that I have. I also know then, let's go back to the highlighter, I'll change the color, that I have 3/10 of a day to pick and I have 1/10 of a day to pick. So now I know that 3/10 of a day plus 1/10 of a day has to be less than or equal to the 30 days I have for picking. And there are all the restrictions that I know I have in this problem. So first thing I do is from there I graph it and then just figure out, well, what am I even looking at? What do I have? What kind of bounded region? So let's start there. So I'm going to pull up Desmos. I know that X has to be greater than or equal to 0. Y has to be greater than or equal to 0. So I've got those two areas. I know that X plus Y has to be less than or equal to 150. I know that X plus 2Y has to be less than or equal to 240. And I know that, go back, check real quick, make sure 3/10 X plus 1/10 Y is less than or equal to 30. 3/10 X plus 1/10 Y less than or equal to 30. Now I can't see anything here, so I'm going to shift it over and then I'm going to zoom out until I get something that's usable. Okay, now I can see that I have my points here around what I'm looking at. I know that this bounded region where I have 0, 120, 60, 90, and I can't use this point right here because it's not being satisfied by this line coming down here, so that points out. So I've got 0, 120. I'm going to put these on here so it's easier. 0, 120. I'm going to show that label. The other one just showed was 60, 90. I'm going to show that label. If I look at the next one over, that's 75, 75. We can show that. And then my last one is down here is 100 and 0. And so what that means is those are the points that are the vertices that bound this system, with the X value being how many acres of Fuji, the Y being how many acres of September Wonder should I have. Okay, so then the question was, do I want to optimize my sales? So I'm going to come back. If I'm optimizing sales, I've got to check here and see, highlight the important information. I know that I make $140 for an acre of Fuji, $235 for an acre of September Wonder. So what does that mean? That means that if I go through this problem, that my profit would be $140 times how many acres I have of the September Wonder, 235 times how many acres of the September Wonder. So when I'm optimizing using this programming, I know that I can take those vertices and plug them in to the profit and see which one maximizes my profit. So let's take some of those. So I could do 100 acres of Fuji and 0 acres from the September Wonder. If I look back at my equation, I can see that was right here. That only makes me $14,000. So if I go back, I've got the 60-90, the 75-75, and the 0-120 to plug into this equation as well. So let's do that. If I plug in the two 75s, I end up with a profit of $28,125. If I go to the 60-90, I end up with a profit of $29,550. And if I did only September Wonder with 120 acres, I'd have $28,200 made. So if I look at, well, what's my best option in this case? Here, the best thing I can do is to put 60 acres of Fuji and 90 acres of September Wonder. And that will make me $29,550.